Hey guys, how's it going? So I was working on a project trying to make a YouTube video, but sometimes work gets in the way. Gotta pay the bills, you know. So I figured I'd show you this little project. We got this little gears here for a customer. They ordered these from I believe they ordered them from McMaster-Carr. They called me and asked me where to get them, and told them McMaster-Carr has about everything machinery related. And these are gears for a gear rack. And anyhow, they came and there's no set screw. There's nothing to attach to the shaft. They were just gonna have me weld it on the shaft, but then they talked about it and they decided that they needed some holes drilled and tapped. So I asked them what size they wanted. They said just as long as it holds. So I'm gonna go with a 3/8 set screw because it's nice and beefy, should hold really good, and it's easier not to snap a tap if it isn't tiny. And 3/8 is a pretty good sized tap. So I'm gonna drill these holes and tap them, which means I'm gonna cut threads so you can screw into them and put a set screw in there. All right, here we go. Alrighty, I drilled the hole 5/16, so it's a 1/16 inch smaller than the 1/8 inch or 3/8 inch tap. And with most taps, on the back side you've got a little recess here, and you can put something that's pointy, has a little end on it. I usually use something like this and line up with the tap, and that works pretty good. But then with this tap wrench here, it's got this little ball on the back of it instead of a little groove. So what I like to do is take a little tiny socket. It's just a little tiny guy, but it fits over that ball, and then I can take out the drill bit before I know that my hole's right where I want it to be and it's going the right direction. Because the hardest thing with tapping a hole is getting it started straight and having it follow down straight. So I'm gonna put this socket in the chuck. Hopefully my chuck's high enough. Tighten up my tap. Get my tap started. Of course it's not high enough. Of course it's not. Well, just a minute. Let me loosen my let me loosen the top of my mill here. Just got a couple of bolts that squeeze this down on this round housing here. And I'm gonna mess up right now. Exactly what I was trying not to do. You don't wanna move anything once you're centered over that hole. I'll have to put the drill bit back in and line it back up perfectly. So here we go. I'm gonna crank it up a little bit so that I have enough room for my tap and my follower. There we go. All right, now I'll put the drill bit back in, line it back up, close enough. Then, like I say, I'll put this little socket back in. And the reason why I use that socket is because it's basically like a small hole in the end. You line it up with that. Give it a little squirt of oil. Use a little Marvel mystery oil. What's in it? Who knows? It's a mystery. And then we'll tighten. Kind of put a little bit of down pressure on it while you start your tap. And then once you get it started, then you don't need that anymore. What you never want to do is actually put this little tap in the chuck. That is a surefire way to break a tap every time. Taps are really good, but they're hard. They have to be, because they have to cut a thread in metal. So by nature, they have to be harder than the metal that they're cutting. And you know, that means when things get hard, they usually get brittle. They no longer have any give. And if you exceed their tolerances, or you exceed their what's the word, tensile strength, it lets loose, and it always lets loose in a bad way. And if anybody who's ever tapped a hole has broken a tap, I almost guarantee it, because you know, there's a learning curve there of being patient, taking your time. Don't get carried away. Use plenty of lubrication. If it gets hard, stop, back up, break the chip off, and go again. Otherwise, you're gonna break a tap. For years and years, I just used Harbor Freight taps, and honestly, they're not the worst. You know, don't get the little nothing pack, but they're big set. I cut a lot of threads, a lot of threads with them. And you know, for the price, they were really hard to beat, because they had all the sizes. They had clear down through tiny, clear up to 1 inch for years and years. And they used to have them in a steel container with a plastic liner on the inside, and they were pretty cool. And then they went to these stupid plastic, like didn't even have real hinges, just like that blow molded plastic case. Yeah, they were pretty dumb. The old steel case, Harbor Freight, you know, got it done for a lot of years. Now, that being said, this here's a gear wrench set, and it doesn't have as many sizes. It won't go up to 1 inch. I think they kind of peter out at 3/4, I believe, which is still pretty good. That does most things. Much higher quality, much less brittle, much less likely to snap. And the handles with the ratchet, oh, that's a game changer. That's just flipping amazing. So, put the drill bit back in. I need a set screw on one side, and I need one on the other side as well at 90 degrees to it, so that I can bind in on both sides of the shaft, making it a lot stronger connection. All right, problem with this is you gotta loosen the chuck every time and swap between the little socket and the drill bit. And I don't know that socket's even little enough. I may end up grinding the flat on there, because I don't know if you can probably see it in the camera or not, but there's a little bevel on here, and it makes the hole kind of not small enough. I don't have a lot of, well, I mean, I probably could find a smaller socket. Alrighty folks, I'm back. So I'm going to swap from that sweet gear wrench setup. I know that I've done that in the past, and I'm not sure what I used on that little ball. I can't seem to find a small enough socket today. You know, millions of tools, but can't ever find the right one when you need it. So I'm going to use this little tip that fits inside the top of this one. It's got like a little set screw, sort of a Allen key sort of a thing in there. This fits a lot nicer. This here's kind of cool. It's got like a telescopic handle thing. I don't know why you'd need that. Maybe if you're up against something, you can move it over out of the way, and then you could, you know, tap up against a plate or something. But like the gear wrench, ratchety, inny outy, pretty cool little thing. Not sure where I got this. Probably Amazon. All right, same sort of a deal. Let's drill a hole. There we go. For this size little hole, I could probably increase my spindle RPM, make it go faster. Boy, that's annoying. I'm gonna go shut this fan off. It sounds like it's gonna come apart. That was annoying. for this size hole, the smaller the drill bit, the faster you can go, because the less the surface speed, the more your feeds and speeds, you know, that whole thing. But I like just going low and slow. Take your time, don't press too hard. Have a good sharp bit, let it make a good chip, and then you don't end up burning stuff up. You're less likely to make something dull. What are the chances that this is going to be too tall to fit in here again? Man, you ever just have those days where here we go again. Deja vu. Not the end of the world. All right. Well, is that gonna fit now? You gotta be kidding me. Can I put this up in here more? Wow, struggle bus. Nope, that's as high up in there as it goes. Topping out my little super mill here. It's a really good drill press. Maybe not the world's best mill. It's been pretty cool though. We've used it a lot over the years. All right, here we are. Now, yet again. Oh, you'd think I'd learn. Line up our drill bit. Okay, there we go. Tighten her back down. This is just a little project for a customer. They called in and they need this right away, so just trying to finish up one of my projects so I could post it, but put it on the old YouTube. Anyway, what do? YouTube ain't paying the bills yet, so here we go. Gotta take care of the customers, keep them happy. Plus, you know, it's just good to help people out. That's one thing that I've always liked about what I do is whenever somebody comes to me, granted it's not usually a great day for them, but usually they're in need of help, you know, and it's kind of cool that, you know, God has given me the ability to be able to help people in need. And how is this still not fitting? You've got to be kidding me. All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grind this down. Missed it by that much. Anyway, we'll get her. We'll get her. Yeah, I'm always a sucker for somebody saying, hey, we're in a bind. Can you come help us? Sure. You know, why not? All right, a little bit more Marvel Mystery Oil. What's in it? Who knows? It's a mystery. You know, I really like the smell of Marvel Mystery Oil when it's cutting. I don't know if you've ever used it, been around it, anything. I like it for the smell of cutting oil, and if I have to weld something, and you have to, like, when I'm punching holes with the iron worker, I like using Marvel Mystery Oil, because when you weld near it, granted, it's not good to weld on oil, not good to breathe any of it. I'm sure, you know, it's a mystery what's in it. I'm sure it's not good for you. But if you gotta smell something that's burning, this stuff doesn't smell too bad. It kind of smells cinnamony to me. Man, that's a mouthful. What am I doing? Making sure it's nice and centered. Oh, can't tell at all that I haven't had any sleep. Any of you guys have problems about waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning with ideas of what you want to build for the day? Going through everything in your mind over and over again about exactly how you're going to do it, and then sit there, toss and turn for long enough that you're like, I might as well just get up and go do it now, you know? Oh, just me? Okay, well, you know, such is my curse. I have so many ideas for things I want to put on YouTube. Oh man, you guys don't even know. Well, I mean, someday you'll know. Are you guys anything like me when you watch YouTube and you like find somebody that interests you and you'll just binge watch everything that they've ever done? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get a bunch of content out there, because man, I find somebody like that and I can go down that rabbit hole forever, you know? Drive my wife nuts, watch something. I'm a little obsessive, I guess. Watch something until I see everything that they've ever done ever. You feel like you know that person? Well, you know, maybe I'll be that to somebody someday. And you know, I've learned a lot watching YouTube University over the years, and maybe I can be able to help somebody else. All right, well, there is one done. Now I just got to rinse and repeat, do another 2 of these. I think in the morning I got to come back and well, I got a buddy of mine who's got a semi. I got to fix their axle's got a crack in it, like a lateral crack along where the weld is. It's seeping oil, so I got to drill that out, or yeah, drill the crack, stop the crack, grind it. The GoPro shut off on me, but I was trying to say I got to weld his axle in the morning and help him out, and then I've got to weld the gear track on some doors that these gears go along for this customer, and get that. Hey, do you guys ever run into a problem where you go to drill on top of something that's round or not smooth, and your drill bit just walks and wobbles because the whole thing's real floppy? Well, this here is called a center drill, and you use them a lot in lathes. You put them in your chuck, you drill the end of a thing, and then you can put your little live center. It's like a little pointy thing that spins with the so you support the whole thing, because if you have too much sticking out in a lathe, it gets wobbly and the whole thing goes, you know, it's hard to hold on to. It's hard to make a nice straight cut. It doesn't make a circle. It just makes a mess. So anyhow, same thing with the drill bit. You put one of these in there, see how it's real big, and then it tapers down. This thing doesn't wibble wobble in the chuck. Will I be able to reach from this high? We'll find out together. Anyhow, my drill bit started walking around every sort of which way, and having your chuck, if your hole isn't in the middle, doesn't do you a lot of good to line up to it when you come back in with your tap. So, would you look at that? Even if I back this off all the way, I'm not going to reach that. Oh, don't you just love it when you run out of stroke on your mill? So this is why having a mill with a round part here is not a good idea. I don't know who thought it was a good idea. Whatever Chinese person made this thing. Nothing wrong with Chinese people. But this here piece of thing, this round part, has been the bane of its existence. It really, really limits the rigidity of a mill. So that's a long story. Back in 2012, my buddy Juan was up here living with my wife and I, and he was working as a pipe welder, just welding all sorts of pipe up here in North Dakota. And then he had like side gigs, because he thought at the time that sleep was overrated, and he'd try and work all day and all night every day till like every time we're hanging out together trying to watch a movie or something, he'd be falling asleep. Anyway, I had my nephew and my dad working for me at the time, and they helped me build my shop in town, and we were working pretty good, the three of us, you know, and he made us a little friendly wager that he said whoever made more money in 1 week and 1 month, whether it was the three of us or him, and granted, I don't know how, you know, I guess we're just going off of what he said. I might be a sucker, maybe he was full of it. But he said he made more working all by himself, as hard as he could for that month, than my dad and my nephew and I did. And so this gets to be quite the story. The loser had to buy a mill. And I was, you know, I had just been up here for a little while. I was trying to build a shop. I had a lot of irons in the fire. And it was a little tight at the time, money-wise. I was working as much as I could and trying to keep employees going, which is always fun. And anyway, so I had to buy this mill, and it was a couple grand at the time. I just went to this place called Acme Tool, and it was the one that they had in stock, and it's one that I could afford. And I bought it because I lost that bet with Juan. Well, you know, what do? He's a good friend. I bought this, and you know, I have done an awful lot with this thing, and I've learned a ton. But I've learned that in a mill, rigidity is everything. Having the bottom piece and the top piece not be able to move is critical. And having a round shaft here on the back of it is not a way to make something rigid. This thing is like a big wet noodle. Not really, but you know, in terms of machining, I've broken so many bits over the years because stuff moves when it shouldn't move. And you know, I was gonna buy a good mill last year, and I ended up upgrading my old crane truck, the Sea Monster. Bought a new one, the Leviathan. I gotta show you guys all those. You'll see them at some point, I'm sure. Man, the GoPro just randomly shuts off whenever it feels like it. Alrighty, well, what am I gonna do here? We got this little guy. It's not long enough. I need something rigid. I'll come up with a solution. Anyway, I ended up buying this mill. This has been a really good drill press. It's an amazing drill press. Does great. But as far as a mill goes, you know, being able to like cut things and do things, mediocre at best. I ended up adding this here, this thing. It's pretty cool. You know, the Amazon.com, some Chinesium. I don't know what it is. I don't know the brand, but there's lots of these. They're kind of a dime a dozen, a couple $100, $100. I don't know. But what it does, and this is cool, but I probably shouldn't do too much because I'm gonna have to line this back up. I'm just showing you guys anyway. It's a power feed for this axis. See this handle turning? Yeah, the whole thing's moving back. That was a pretty cool upgrade for machining because then you can like, oh, as it's going, you can speed it up, slow it down. You've got rapid. Pretty simple, pretty cool. That was a pretty good upgrade. I like this tool. I like it a lot. Don't get me wrong. But if I had an email, right now I could just raise all this up and down. The head kind of stays put. And this is all on dovetail, so it doesn't move when you go up and down. Right now I need to go down, but if I loosen that, then the dang thing's floppy again. Ah, so frustrating. Anyhow, let me come up with a solution. I'll show you what I come up with when I come up with it here in a second. All right, I've got the solution here, guys. Why is it the shaft collar that you always need, or the shaft coupler, I guess this would be called, with the shaft collar in it, is always attached to something else you've made over the years. I don't know what this eccentric was for. I made this for something, but I'll be darned if I can remember what it was now. Anyway, come on. I just had an Allen wrench. You guys ever have the problem? I have this nice little thing on my lathe here with all my little Allen wrenches, and for whatever reason, whatever size Allen wrench you need is never in the little organized thing. And then I found a different Allen wrench. I brought it over here. I know I just said it here. I'm going insane. All right, I'm back. So I left it over on the workbench. Let's see if I can get this out of there. This is just a little shaft collar. Oh, look at that. That's going to be lovely. But here's what I did. I took a 5/8 inch bolt. Lovely. Cut the ends off it. Voila. Nice straight 5/8 inch shaft. And it doesn't fit because this isn't 5/8. What the heck size are you? Oh man. Do you ever tell your wife, hey, I'm going to be home for dinner in just a little bit because, oh, this is a really fast project. All I got to do is drill and tap some holes. How hard could it be? That's the problem with these little center drills is by nature, they're stumpy. They're little shorty shorts. Well, this does not say what diameter that is. Oh, it is 5/8. I cut a 3/4 inch bolt. That's on me. All right, let me go cut a 5/8 bolt. I'll be back. All right, I'm back again. So, you guys ever find that finding the solution to the problem that shouldn't have been a problem in the first place always takes you longer for the project than the whole project should have taken in the first place? Yeah, that always happens to me. I love it when you're on a deadline too, and they're like, "Oh, I need that yesterday," and I'm like trying to come up with a way to get it done, but I don't have the right stuff. So there is an extended center drilling center punch. All this probably could have been avoided if I would have used a centering head and a punch to put a little dimple there to start drilling this hole. But here we are, whatever, you know. I gotta get home. The wife's cooking dinner, not even sure what she's making, but obviously it's pretty good because, you know, I don't look like I've missed too many meals. All right, let's try this again. All that just so I can get the hole in the middle where it needs to be. Wow. Wow, batting 1,000. But perseverance, you know. Guys, this is a good lesson for life. Even the simplest things can be a pain in the butt, but if you persevere, you can get through them. Oh, what do? You know, sometimes you just gotta laugh at it. I'm forever the eternal optimist. Oh, that job's no big deal. Yeah, I can do that. I'll get that knocked out in no time. All right, we're back where we should have been quite a while ago. But we're getting there. We're getting there. All right, so there we have it. 6 gears here, spur gears, for the rack and pinion. So I guess this would be the pinion. The long flat part's the rack. Tomorrow we'll get that welded on their little door or doors, and be good to go. This whole thing, you know, pretty simple job. Shouldn't have been much, but complicated by lots of problems. First of all, starting with the gear wrench thing. Why couldn't they just have a little, what do you call it? Center punch mark on the top, or a little drilled recess. Why do they gotta have that ball on top? I'm sure it has something to do with how it's made, but this thing's a lot better with the little hole in the top. Problem is, it's flipping tall. I had to be so far away from it. Oh, causes all sorts of issues. Drill bits, too flimsy. Center punches or center drills, too short. Maybe that's something I should invent, is a deep well centering punch or centering drill. I'm sure somebody's made it. In this world, there's got to be some out there. I just haven't seen them, and I don't own one. So, you know, I could have had an email. It would have made this whole thing a lot easier. But whatever, we get it done. That's the story of my life. Not having the right tools for the job, doing the job, trying to buy the right tools from the job, and you never get there. It's like there's never enough. You just can't have enough tools. Anyway, that's it for this part of this project. Remember, me and Jesus love you. Talk to you later.